Today I will share with you 11 practical strategies to help you stay comfortable, fed, and safe when the power goes out. No panic, only real solutions that truly work. Let me tell you about something that many do not think about. When the electricity goes out, it's not just that it's dark around. After a few hours, your food begins to spoil. Within a day, you may have a toilet problem. In 3 days, stores may run out of goods because their payment systems are failing. This is not intimidation, it is reality. And the good news is that with some knowledge and preparation, you can handle the situation better than 90% of your neighbors. Tip number 1, master a few light sources. This is what I learned in 2015 during a week-long power outage. Candles look romantic in movies, but in reality, they are the last choice for practical lighting. Why? Because they pose a fire hazard, they give minimal light and burn wax faster than you'd think. Let me suggest the best option. Your best choice will be solar LED lamps. I have 6 of these lamps on my property. During the day, they charge in the sun, and at night each provides 4 to 6 hours of bright and safe light. Without fuel, without fire risk, without the need to replace batteries. The initial investment is about $60 for a good set, and they will last you many years. The next option is LED flashlights with rechargeable batteries. Here's the trick that many overlook. Choose those that can be charged using solar panels or manual drive. I have 3 such lanterns, and during prolonged outages, I alternate them. One charges in the sun, one is in use, and one is in reserve. This provides me with continuous light, preventing the batteries from discharging. Lanterns are indispensable, but many make mistakes here. They buy cheap models that quickly drain the batteries. Instead, it is worth investing in quality LED lanterns. A good lantern uses only a small fraction of energy and provides 3 times more light. Personally, I prefer lanterns with multiple brightness modes. Why use maximum power when you're just going to the bathroom? Now about gas lanterns. They illuminate the whole room well, but require good ventilation. Never use them in completely airtight spaces. I learned this from experience. Waking up with a headache while camping in 2013. Carbon dioxide is no joke. Use them in places with good air circulation and always keep a carbon monoxide detector nearby, even if it runs on batteries. And yes, candles have their place, but use them in holders on stable surfaces away from anything flammable and never leave them unattended. I keep them as a backup light source, not as the main one. Tip number 2, temperature control without heating and cooling systems. Let's talk about how to stay comfortable when your heating and cooling system turns into a useless metal box. Here, an understanding of the basics of physics will be useful. For heating, nothing compares to a wood stove if you have space for it. But here's what they don't write in the instructions. You need to prepare a stock of firewood before winter arrives. Wet or freshly cut wood does not burn efficiently. I dry my wood for at least 6 months and always keep a full stock of firewood. This is enough to heat my house for several weeks, even in cold weather. Don't you have room for a wood stove? Propane heaters are your next best option. The main thing is to choose models designed for indoor use with oxygen sensors. I used the Mr. Heater Buddy, and it provided me comfort during several power outages. 1-pound propane tanks are convenient, but here's a tip. Get an adapter to connect it to a 20-pound tank. It's more economical, and you won't run out of gas so quickly. Now let's talk about the coolness, as heat kills more people during power outages than cold. If you live in a hot climate, this is especially relevant. Your home turns into an oven without air conditioning, so you need to devise a strategy. First of all, keep in mind that hot air rises. If you have a 2-story house, stay on the first floor during the day. Open windows on opposite sides of the house to create a draft. This is not just a random opening of windows. You need to create a path for the airflow. I open one window from the shadow side and another on the opposite side, and I feel the difference within a few minutes. Shadow is your best friend. Close all the blinds and curtains on the windows facing the sun during the hottest hours of the day. If you have time before the expected shutdown, hang damp sheets in doorways. As the water evaporates, it cools the air. This is called evaporative cooling, and it has been used for thousands of years in hot climates. This is what I started doing in 2017, and it changed everything for me. I hold an ice cooler and a battery-operated fan. I position the fan to blow on the ice. This homemade air conditioner lowers the temperature in a small room by 10 to 15 degrees. When the ice melts, I use this cold water for drinking or for cooling towels. Tip number 3 is cooking without electricity. You won't go hungry just because your electric stove isn't working, but you need to plan ahead. I have 4 different cooking methods, and each serves its purpose. My main method is a 2-burner propane camping stove. This device is a real workhorse. I can cook everything I usually prepare on my regular stove. Eggs, pasta, roast, anything. One 1-pound cylinder lasts about 2 hours of cooking. Do the math. If you cook for 30 minutes a day, one cylinder lasts 4 days. If you have a box of 12, it will last almost 2 months. But what many people overlook is the rocket stove. This ingenious device burns small branches and twigs with incredible efficiency. I built mine for about $30 in materials, and it boils water in less than 10 minutes using just a handful of dry wood. The device creates a powerful upward draft that completely burns the fuel and produces minimal smoke during prolonged outages. This means I am not reliant on propane. I can gather fuel right in my garden. Solar ovens are an amazing invention, but they require sunlight and patience. I used mine to bake bread, prepare stews, and even casseroles. The temperature inside can reach 300 degrees Celsius on a sunny day. But there's one catch. You will need 3 to 4 hours of good sunlight. Moreover, it cannot be used on cloudy days or at night. Therefore, the solar oven is just part of the system, not the only option. And one should never underestimate the traditional charcoal grill. I always have 2 large bags of coal stored in a dry place. With the grill, I can cook for company, and the heat is evenly distributed. Keep in mind that coal emits carbon monoxide, so always cook outdoors. Tip number 4 is preserving food without a refrigerator. Your refrigerator will keep food cold for about 4 hours after a power outage, possibly 6 if not opened. Your freezer can preserve food for about 48 hours if full and closed. After that, you are left alone with the problem. In this case, old preservation methods become your best friends. I learned to preserve from my grandmother in 2014, and it has saved me thousands of rubles on wasted food over the years. You can preserve vegetables, fruits, meat, and even whole dishes in jars. As soon as the jars are properly sealed, they can be stored for years on the shelf, without electricity, without spoilage. Every autumn, I hold a big canning session, and these jars help me survive the winter. Now, about canning. It's not difficult, but it requires precision. You need the right equipment, the correct process, and adherence to safety rules. Improperly canned food can cause poisoning, but once you master this process, it will be as easy as riding a bike. I can now process 40 pounds of tomatoes in one afternoon. Dehydration is another important method. You can dehydrate fruits, vegetables, herbs, and meat. Dehydrated food weighs almost nothing, takes up minimal space, and can be stored for months or years if kept properly. I have a solar dehydrator that I built for about $50, and it works in any sunlight without the need for electricity. Smoking meat is an art and one of the most effective methods of preserving protein. Smoke acts as a preservative, and the drying process removes moisture necessary for bacterial growth. I smoked fish, chicken, beef, and pork. If done correctly, smoked meat can be stored for weeks without refrigeration. What surprised me when I first learned about it was the Zir pot, a traditional clay refrigerator that uses evaporative cooling. You place a smaller pot inside a larger one, fill the space between them with sand, and keep the sand moist. As the water evaporates, it carries heat away from the inner pot, keeping it cool. It's not as cold as a refrigerator, but cool enough to extend the life of vegetables and fruits for a few days. By the way, I understand how overwhelming the issue of food security can be when you are just starting out. Therefore, I prepared a free guide that breaks this topic into practical steps. It's called 90-Day Food Supply for $50, and it details how to create a serious food stock without spending a fortune. I am talking about specific brands, exact prices, and a shopping list that you can use today. The guide presents 37 essential items for preparation that most people don't even think about, as well as emergency meals that can be prepared without fuel or electricity. There is even a section dedicated to snacks from gas stations, which become incredibly valuable for trade when the situation gets tough. This is what I personally use and recommend, and it complements everything we are discussing today. Take this when you have the chance, and let's move on. Tip number 5. Collecting and purifying water. Water is life. You can survive several weeks without food, but only about 3 days without water. When the electricity goes out, the treatment facilities stop. The pumps cease to work. Suddenly, the tap that always flowed with clean water becomes useless. Collecting rainwater is your first line of defense. A simple rainwater barrel under a downspout can collect hundreds of liters during a good storm. But here's what you need to know. First flush systems. The first water that runs off the roof contains dirt, bird droppings, and debris. You don't want that in drinking water. The device for the first flush automatically discards the first few liters and then starts collecting clean water. I have 3 barrels of 55 gallons each connected to the downspouts. In good rain, all 3 fill up. That's 165 gallons of water. For drinking, cooking, and personal hygiene, one person needs at least about 1 gallon a day. So these barrels represent more than 5 months of water for one person or almost 2 months for a family of 3, but gathering is only half the job. This water needs to be purified before use. Boiling is the gold standard. Bring the water to a rolling boil for 1 minute. 3 minutes if you are at an altitude of over 6,000 feet. This kills almost everything: bacteria, viruses, parasites. The downside of this method is that it requires fuel and time. Chemical cleaning is faster. Regular bleach works if it is unscented. 8 drops per gallon. Mix well and let it sit for 30 minutes. The water should have a slight smell of chlorine. If not, repeat the dose and wait another 15 minutes. I keep several odorless bottles specifically for this purpose. Water purification tablets are more convenient. Iodine or chlorine dioxide tablets are thrown into the water, and after 30 minutes it is safe to drink. They are lightweight, portable, and perfect for emergency kits. But my favorite method is the gravity-fed water filter. These systems use ceramic or charcoal filters to remove bacteria, parasites, and sediment. You pour water in from the top, and clean water drips out from the bottom. No pumping, no electricity, no chemicals. A good filter can purify thousands of gallons before it needs to be replaced. Here is a method that most people don't know about: solar water disinfection. Transparent plastic bottles filled with water and left in the sun for 6 hours can destroy most pathogens. Ultraviolet rays do their work. This method is not perfect, but in a critical situation, it is better than drinking contaminated water. Advisory number 6. Sanitation without running water. Let's talk about what no one wants to discuss, but what everyone needs to know. When the electricity is turned off, water treatment stops. Sewage systems overflow, and yes, your toilet stops working. This is not very pleasant, but critically important. A compost toilet is the most advanced solution. These systems separate liquid waste from solid and use decomposition to turn everything into safe compost. If installed correctly, there is no smell, and flushing is not required. I installed one in the summer house that I use for trips to nature, and overcoming the psychological barrier, I realized that it is actually more hygienic than a regular toilet. But most people are not going to install a compost toilet at home. So here's a practical solution: a toilet bucket with a seat. Line it with sturdy trash bags, and after each use, cover the waste with sawdust, peat, or wood shavings. This controls the smell and starts the composting process. When the bag is about a third full, tie it up and store it in an airtight container away from living spaces. In a long-term situation, it can be buried. Liquid waste is simpler. If you're concerned about water conservation, follow the camping rule. If it's yellow, let it mellow. It is not necessary to flush every time, but when you do decide to flush, you only need 1 or 2 liters of water, which can be poured directly into the toilet. The water does not necessarily have to come from the tank. Personal hygiene becomes complicated without running water, but it is not impossible. Wet wipes are great for quick cleaning. I buy them in bulk because it's cheaper and store them in airtight containers to prevent them from drying out. Hand sanitizer kills bacteria when soap and water are not available. Look for a body wash with at least 60% alcohol. This product, which I discovered while camping in 2016, is incredible. You apply it, wipe it off with a towel, and you're clean. No water needed. This is the perfect option for a quick refresh when there's no possibility to take a full shower. But my favorite, simple solution is a solar shower. It's a black bag that you fill with water and leave in the sun. The water heats up, and you hang the bag on a tree or balcony. Gravity does its job. It's not a hot shower from your bathroom, but after several days without bathing, it feels like a luxury. Tip number 7. Connection without the internet. When the electricity goes out, your smartphone becomes a very expensive paperweight as soon as the battery dies. Mobile towers have backup power, but it lasts only a few hours or a couple of days. After that, you remain disconnected from the digital world. So how do you stay informed and connected? A manual emergency radio is an essential item. These devices receive amplitude and frequency modulation, as well as NOAA weather channels. The manual generator means you won't need batteries. 30 seconds of cranking provides 10 to 12 minutes of radio operation. I have one device in the emergency kit and another in the car. When a disaster occurs, emergency broadcasts go through these channels. This is how you learn about evacuation orders, weather updates, and the locations of emergency services. Two-way radios create your own communication network. If you coordinate actions with family members or neighbors, such devices are simply indispensable. Most consumer models have a range of 2 to 5 miles in open terrain, less in urban conditions with buildings. The point is, agree on a communication channel and schedule checks in advance. Otherwise, everyone will try to contact each other at random moments. CB radio stations have a greater range and can connect you with others in your area. During emergencies, Channel 9 is constantly monitored for emergency communications. I've heard stories of people using CB to call for help when phone lines were down. Shortwave radio communication is the perfect tool for preparation, but it requires a license. With the right equipment and knowledge, you can communicate across the country or even worldwide. I received my shortwave license in 2018, and it opened up a whole community of prepared people who exchange information and support each other. Don't forget about low-tech communication methods. If you need a distress signal, a mirror can be seen for miles on a sunny day. 3 whistles are a universal distress signal. Signal flares are visible both day and night, although they are single-use, so save them for real emergencies. Room number 8, navigation and timekeeping. Without technology, your phone serves as your clock, alarm, calendar, and GPS. When it runs out of battery, you lose all of this. It's time to remember old skills. First, acquire analog clocks and wristwatches. Winding alarm clocks do not need batteries. Mechanical watches keep running. I have automatic watches that wind themselves during the day when I move. I never worry about batteries. Paper maps are indispensable for navigation. I have road maps of my state and neighboring states in my car. At home, I keep topographic maps of my area. During a long outage, if you need to move, you can't rely on GPS. Learn to read maps while it's not a necessity. Understand the legend, scale, and how to orient a map to the surrounding terrain. A compass is your backup to the map. A regular compass for navigation costs about $15 and lasts forever. Master the basics. How to find north, take an azimuth, and follow a set course. These are simple things, but they require practice. This is what an old-timer taught me in the year 2013. Natural navigation. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. At noon, it is roughly in the south if you are in the northern hemisphere. Moss typically grows on the north side of trees in the northern hemisphere because it is shadier there. These methods are not perfect, but they can help you navigate if you are lost. Tip number 9. Financial management without digital access. When the electricity goes out, ATMs stop working, credit card terminals fail, and online banking becomes inaccessible. Suddenly, cash becomes the most important resource. But how much cash should one carry? I follow the 1-month rule. Calculate your basic expenses for 1 month. Food, fuel, medications, and necessary supplies. Keep this amount in cash in a safe place in your home. For most people, this amount ranges from $1,000 to $3,000. Divide the money into bills of different denominations. Small denominations are especially important, as in a crisis situation, people won't have change from a 100-ruble note. But cash is not the only valuable asset. Think about items for barter trade. What might people need, and what can you offer or exchange? In my neighborhood during prolonged outages, I saw people exchanging batteries, gas canisters, water purification tablets, and even toilet paper. Once during a winter storm in 2019, someone traded a dozen eggs for a bundle of firewood. We both came out ahead. Non-perishable food items are valuable for barter trade. The same applies to essential medications like pain relievers and cold medicine. Fuel, whether gasoline, propane, or kerosene, becomes extremely valuable. Tobacco and alcohol are controversial items, but they have high barter value for those who consume them. This is what most people do not think about. Skills as currency. If you can fix things, purify water, or start a fire, this knowledge is valuable. You can exchange your labor and experience for the goods you need. Tip number 10. Security without electronic systems. Your security system stops working when the electricity is turned off. The electric garage doors won't open, and the video intercom becomes useless. At this moment, your home is most vulnerable, and you need to think about physical security. First of all, reinforce your entry points. Reliable doors with quality locks are your first line of defense. I installed 3-inch screws on all the door hinges and lock plates, which significantly complicates breaking the door. The window locks should be checked and reinforced. First-floor windows can be secured with wooden pins in the tracks, making them impossible to open from the outside, even if the lock is broken. Motion sensors don't work without electricity, but you can install mechanical alarms with taut wires. These are simple devices that make a sound when someone passes through an invisible wire. I have several such alarms around the perimeter of my property. They are simple, but they warn me if someone approaches. Dogs are the oldest security system in the world, and they don't need electricity. A barking dog is a powerful deterrent. Even a small dog that makes a sound serves its purpose. Create a neighborhood watch network. Get to know your neighbors before an emergency arises. During a blackout, people can take turns watching the street. There is strength in numbers, and coordinated neighbors can protect each other much better than individuals. Keep emergency lighting near your bed. If something happens at night, you will need immediate access to light. A flashlight, headlamp, or even glow sticks can be crucial for effectively responding rather than wandering in the dark. Tip number 11 is mental and emotional resilience. What they don't tell you about disasters. Psychological stress can often be heavier than physical trials. Boredom, stress, fear, and uncertainty can destroy your mental health faster than hunger or cold. This is where the importance of psychological preparation for survival comes into play. Entertainment without electricity is not just a way to pass the time. It is a maintenance of hope and normalcy. Books are an obvious choice, but think broader. Board games bring people together. Playing cards can entertain for long hours. Puzzles give your mind a chance to focus on something other than worry. I hold a guitar, even if I don't play it well. Music greatly boosts morale. Singing, even just humming, releases endorphins and reduces stress. During the power outage in the year 2020, my family gathered every evening for a song circle. It sounds cliché, but it helped keep our spirits up. Keeping a journal helps process emotions and document what happens. In stressful times, writing down your thoughts and feelings can be therapeutic. It also creates a record of what worked and what didn't for the future. Try to maintain habits as much as possible. Wake up at the same time. Schedule your meals. Perform productive tasks throughout the day. This structure provides psychological stability when everything around seems chaotic. Physical activity is crucial. Without electricity, you will likely engage in significant physical activity, but targeted workouts reduce stress and improve sleep. Even simple bodyweight exercises or walks can greatly enhance your mental state. Connection with the community is most important. Check on your neighbors, especially the elderly or vulnerable. Share resources, tell stories. Human connections help us survive tough times. We are social beings, and isolation in a crisis situation amplifies any stress. What I have learned in 13 years of preparation: the best results in emergencies come not from those with the most gear, but from those who possess the right mindset, flexibility, creativity, and a positive attitude. This will help you more than any equipment. Combining all this, life without electricity is not a return to the Stone Age. It is having backup systems and knowledge to adapt. Every piece of advice I shared today complements the others. Light helps cook safely. Clean water supports health. Good sanitation prevents diseases. Connection links you with help and information. Mental resilience ties it all together. The main thing is to start now. Don't wait for the power to go out to address these issues. Test your equipment. Practice these skills. Make it a family activity. My children know how to light a gas lamp, purify water, and cook on a camping stove. This knowledge gives them confidence and alleviates fear of potential disasters. Start small. Choose one piece of advice from today's discussion and apply it this week. Perhaps it will be buying a hand crank radio or filling several barrels with water. Maybe just a conversation with family about what to do if the power goes out for a week. Small steps add up to serious preparedness. Remember that free guide I mentioned earlier? If you haven't downloaded it yet, the link is in the description and pinned in the comments. It will help you stock up on food for 90 days for just $50. It includes an accurate shopping list, storage strategies suitable for any home or apartment, and emergency food plans that can be used without electricity. It is a great addition to what we discussed today, and it is completely free. I prepared it because I remember feeling overwhelmed when I first started preparing for various situations in 2012. I wanted to give people a simple start that really works. The truth is that we live in an increasingly fragile system. Our power grid is aging. Extreme weather conditions are becoming more common. Cyber threats are real. But here is the good news. You don't have to be a survivalist living in a bunker to cope with these challenges. You just need to be informed, prepared, and ready to learn. If you found this helpful, support me by clicking the like button. This will signal the algorithm to show this video to more people who need this information. Leave a comment below and let me know which advice you plan to apply first, or share your experience with power outages. I read every comment and enjoy hearing from you. Be sure to subscribe to the channel because I release similar videos every week. We discuss food storage, water purification, emergency shelters, first aid, and everything needed to be prepared for any challenges. Readiness is not just about saving oneself. It's about creating resilient communities where people care for each other. Power may be cut off someday, but you will be prepared. You have the knowledge. Now it's time to act. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.